AAA is collapsing right before our eyes, and this past weekend is all the proof you'd ever need. The most protected franchise in gaming, hundreds of millions spent on development, even more spent on marketing, just had its worst launch in history. The worst user score it's ever seen, got called out in US Congress over AI generated art, had games media running damage control, and got absolutely demolished on its launch weekend by a game that released weeks ago. The AAA model's dead, we're now just watching it decay in real time. Because if even Call of Duty can't keep the illusion going, what chance does anyone else have? Black Ops 7 on launch day, it pulled 80,000 concurrent players on Steam. By the weekend it peaked around 90,000. For context, that's the weakest COD launch on Steam since the series returned to the platform in 2022. Now here's where it gets interesting. Arc Raiders, an extraction shooter half the price that launched 3 weeks earlier, was sitting at 481,000 concurrent players that same weekend, hitting its new player count peak. Week 3, when player counts are supposed to drop off. Call of Duty on its launch weekend, the moment when sales are highest, when player count is always at its peak, got outplayed 5-1 by a game that had already been out for weeks. That goes way beyond competition, that's total humiliation. And what did Activision deliver for the 70 quid price tag? They promised innovation, the best Black Ops ever. What they shipped was a campaign so lazy, it's genuinely hard to believe. Always online co-op, you can't pause even in solo mode. Mission designs that are so out of touch with reality, literally, they're like someone designed them from the darkest depths of a K-hole. A joke disguised as a campaign. It landed a 1.9 out of 10 user score on Metacritic, the worst user score in Call of Duty history. On Steam, it's sitting at 43% positive with mixed reviews. Turns out we aren't buying it anymore. We finally had enough. So why did this happen? Well, Arc Raiders on launch weekend it hit 354,000 concurrent players on Steam. The following weekend 462,000. Weekend 3, while Black Ops 7 was busy dying, Arc Raiders peaked at 481,000. 3 consecutive weekends of growth. That doesn't happen. Games like this don't get more popular after launch, they start to bleed players, but Arc Raiders just kept climbing. Because it's a game that knows what it wants to be. It's a focused extraction shooter, expanding the genre with new ideas, none of the bloat, none of the nonsense, no 17 battle passes, no Nicki Minaj skins, no slide cancelling Snoop Dogg, just a clear vision executed well. But that's not supposed to happen. That's not allowed to happen. So what happens there is games media get involved and they start running damage control. The games media is lying to you, and this is all the proof that you'll ever need. They don't represent you. Take a look at this. Black Ops 7, the game with a 1.9 user score, the always online campaign joke, the worst launch in franchise history, got an 83 on Metacritic from the critics. 83. They called it fun and robust. Meanwhile, we clearly didn't want it. That's Access Media for you, running damage control, keeping their noses firmly up the behinds of their AAA overlords, terrified of losing that early review code. But one outlet, they exposed themselves even worse, and I'll give you 3 guesses who. Eurogamer. So they reviewed both Black Ops 7 and Arc Raiders in the last week. Arc Raiders, they called it out for its use of AI. But to be clear, here's what Embark actually did. They hired professional voice actors, recorded voice lines, then used text-to-speech to generate additional callouts, item names, locations. The actors knew it up front, signed contracts explicitly allowing it, and get paid royalties for future uses. Embark even disclosed it on Steam before launch. And Eurogamer's response was they scored it 2 out of 5 stars. They called it one inexcusable decision, said the AI usage was a black mark against Embark's reputation, abhorrent both ethically and artistically. The review spent more time condemning the AI voices than discussing the actual gameplay. But let's talk about what they did for Black Ops 7. So this game has AI generated art all over the place. Calling cards, promo material, disclosed on Steam as using AI to generate in-game assets. It was so obvious it was even discussed in US Congress. They were called out publicly, demanding regulations to stop companies using AI to eliminate jobs for profit. But Eurogamer's review score, 3 out of 5, higher than Arc Raiders, no mention of AI whatsoever. The review called it consistently good fun on its own terms. So let me get this straight, AI voice lines with consent from the actors who got paid is inexcusable, avoid it at all costs. AI generated art that literally replaces the need for human artists is perfectly fine. Make it make sense. The hypocrisy here is astonishing. It tells you everything you need to know about games media's standards. There are none, they don't exist. This is all symptomatic of the same disease killing AAA gaming. Games media relies on access to these studios, to the big games, to the review codes. They can't afford to rock that boat, so they overlook AI art, they forgive broken launches, they call 70 quid disasters fun on their own terms, because if they don't, they lose access, and if they lose access, they lose the last shred of relevance they still cling to. But the rot goes deeper than just the media. The yearly first-person shooter model is fundamentally broken. 12 months of development cycle, studios churning out sequels before the last one's even finished patching, campaigns get shorter, lazier, sacrificed entirely, because why invest in single player when you can't monetize it post-launch? It's just there as an additional selling point so they can add some fancy cutscenes to trailers. Everything in these games is optimized for retention metrics, battle passes, live service treadmills, players as monthly active users, as wallets to empty, not actual people. And when that's not enough, when budgets balloon and the dev time shrinks, they start cutting corners. AI generated art, AI dialogue, whatever, anything to save money, anything to hit the deadline. One of the biggest franchises in the world, Call of Duty, a household name, billions in revenue, didn't care enough to hire actual artists. They put their profits over the player experience. They cut every corner possible and hoped the brand name would carry it. And for years it did. Call of Duty was a guaranteed win. Didn't matter if it was good, it would sell. The brand power alone was enough. Not anymore. Call of Duty has always been the poster boy for AAA gaming, the model that works, the guaranteed hit, the proof that if you spend enough, get enough streamers to play it, spend enough on CGI TV adverts, it will sell. Activision will win. Now it's become the poster boy for AAA's death. Because this isn't just Call of Duty struggling, this is the entire model collapsing under its own weight, and we're watching it happen in real time. An estimated 45,000 game developers' jobs were lost from 2022 to July 2025. 45,000. That's an entire industry hemorrhaging talent while executives pat themselves on the back for record profits and go and buy another boat. Those AAA budgets keep climbing, 200, 300, 400 million per game, more spent on marketing than development. One bad launch and entire studios close. So publishers play it safe, chase trends, make the same game 17 times in a row, which is exactly why players leave and go elsewhere. Why would you play Call of Duty when you've got Arc Raiders? Why spend 70 quid when you've got indie gems like Witchfire that feel better, play better, and is more fun, and took a fraction of the budget to make? Why buy one recycled copy-paste treadmill designed to exploit you when you can get Clair Obscur and Dispatch for less combined? Any sane person wouldn't, and we aren't. Steam's top charts are dominated by games like Arc Raiders, games with a clear vision, a fair price, AA projects, indies, almost no $70 blockbusters. AAA can't afford to fail, so they're terrified of risk. And when you're terrified of risk, you stagnate. And when you stagnate, we get bored and we go and find something better. They've become their own worst enemy. Black Ops 7 didn't fail because we changed. It failed because AAA didn't, and we finally noticed. Anyways, thanks so much for watching. Appreciate you. If you enjoyed the video, drop a like, a comment, and subscribe to the channel for more. Thanks again. I'll see you in the next one.